Well, it is a lot. I mean, how can you measure up to the accomplishments of, my father, my uncles, my Aunt Eunice Shriver, which I'm so glad you mentioned her, because in my view, my Aunt Eunice Kennedy Shriver, founder of the Special Olympics, has probably had really more of an impact on the lives of people globally than any of my father and my uncles who, went into public life and public service and the legislature. I think we were all taught since we were young, to get involved in some things. And so, I was fortunate that I, found a calling. And disability rights has been my family's been very involved. As I mentioned, Special Olympics. I had an Aunt Rosemary who had an intellectual disability, and then my whole family has been very involved in the issue of disability inclusion and inequality and justice for people with disabilities. And then, of course, I lost my leg when I was 12 years old to bone cancer. So undergoing chemotherapy, went through a couple of years of chemotherapy. I was enrollee number 6 in a clinical trial. This is, of course, before the internet. Do we remember back then? I'm very fortunate that, my father actually showed the film of these, amputee skiers on the hospital wall, the white hospital wall, with one of the reel-to-reel, projectors. And I just, it was like the power of example. And that's why we can all be powers of example for others. But I was lucky that, I was able to relearn how to ski and that gave me a really positive sense of myself. In working with corporations to expand job opportunities for people with disabilities, I have CEOs who tell me, look, Ted, it's not about the 50 people that we hired with disabilities who we've hired. It's for the 20,000 other people in my company who go to work every day, who want to feel proud of going to work for a company that believes in supporting and hiring and advancing disability, equality, and justice. And I would say the same is true for for every person with cancer who may get they have friends and their colleagues in the workforce and who are paying close attention, right, to how a company is going to treat that person, right? I've been asked, so what are sort of the legislative or policy issues that are emerging that are going to advance kind of, like disability equality or fair, or benefits for people? And I said, I'm really thinking that today it's actually employers themselves. The initiatives are not coming from the Department of Labor or HHS. It's being advanced by companies themselves who are saying, look, we're doing this not because it's the right thing to do, but because it helps our bottom line. It makes us a stronger corporation, right? And so I think that companies, to your point, can lead and should lead. I'm Ted Kennedy Jr., and I'm one of the voices of the Northeast Business Group on Health.